This is Yair Pinto coming to you live from the northern border with Lebanon. 1 year after Hamas launched an offensive against Israel from the Gaza Strip, a day after Hezbollah launched an attack against Israel. Good evening. Exactly 1 year ago today, October 7th, 2023, Israel faced an unprecedented attack that shook our nation to its core. Hamas terrorists infiltrated our borders, massacring over 1,400 innocent Israelis and abducting more than 250 hostages into Gaza. It was a day that will forever be engraved in our memories, and every single day we pray and hope for the return of the remaining hostages, of which there are still 101 in Gaza. But from that darkest hour, Israel emerged stronger and more united than ever before. And today, we reflect on a year of war, the challenges we've overcome, the enemies we've faced, and what it has all cost us. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is a special live edition of Boots on the Ground, reporting from the northern front lines, where the IDF has already begun to push back against Hezbollah's aggression. Although this is October 7, 2024, it's actually the 366th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and all of its terror proxies in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. This is because 2024 was a leap year, and we had February 29th this year. So the extra day puts us at day 366. And I mentioned it because I know it's already caused some confusion amidst the discussions about this anniversary. Tonight, we're joined by TBN Israel's senior analysts, Mati Shoshani from Jerusalem, from the TBN Jerusalem studios. Together, we will take you through the pivotal events of this past year, our challenges, our victories, and the path forward. Before we begin, please take a moment and click the subscribe button so that you will never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. I also want to invite you to our special show later today on TBN Israel on our YouTube channel. Mati and I will share our personal stories, and Samuel Smadja will host our good friend Franklin Graham, president of Samaritan's Purse, as we mark this tragic anniversary. It will be a great way for all of us to pray together for the safety of Israel. Coming up later today on TBN Israel. Mati, it's been a year of relentless conflict and remarkable resilience. Let's start by reflecting on that fateful day 1 year ago. How did the events of October 7th reshape Israel's security landscape?
Thank you, Yair. It's good to be with you. The attack on October 7th was unprecedented in scale and brutality. The deadliest day for Jewish people since the Holocaust. Hamas managed to catch Israel off guard, exploiting intelligence gaps and security lapses at the border fence separating Israel from the Gaza Strip, with catastrophic results. Along with the killed, the wounded, raped, and burned from that horrible first day of this war, the terrorist also inflicted a wound on Israel that has lingered and is still open. I'm speaking, of course, about the 251 people that they kidnapped into Gaza and held as hostages. Over the months, many were released. A few were rescued. Several were confirmed to have been murdered by their captors. And as of today, 101 are still unaccounted for. The families of these hostages are suffering unimaginable anguish. But every single Israeli share in their pain, because we all know that it could have happened to any one of us. But this terrible day also marked a turning point. Immediately, the IDF implemented Operation Iron Swords, mobilizing hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers into the reserves, including you, Yair, and I, and deploying forces to the Galilee and the Gaza border. The Israeli government declared a state of war, the first since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, signaling a decisive shift in our national defense posture. On this day, which marks the 1 year anniversary of these cruel and barbaric attacks, the IDF will continue to destroy the remnants of Hamas and attack the forces of Hezbollah that seek to threaten the Jewish state. But there will also be memorial services for those who were slaughtered on October 7th, 2023, as well as all those who have been killed in the war that started that day. Thousands of Israeli families will mourn the loss of loved ones, surrounded by their friends and family. All of us will mourn with those who mourn, even as we seek to secure our present and build a better future. That includes the return of the displaced citizens of northern communities who have been away from their homes, work, schools, and lives for an entire year now. Eventually, it will also include rebuilding the Gaza border communities that were so brutally torn apart in the initial attack, and which are still to this day mostly empty, as the surviving residents are reluctant to return to this place where traumatic memories are brought to their minds everywhere they look.
Absolutely, Matti. The speed at which the IDF responded was remarkable. Within hours, airstrikes targeted over 500 Hamas positions. Special forces were also deployed to rescue hostages and secure breached areas.
Indeed, and one of the critical successes was the rapid neutralization of key Hamas commanders on the ground. This immediate response blunted Hamas's momentum and prevented further infiltrations into Israeli territory.
Yes, not to mention the coordination with intelligence agencies, the Shin Bet and the Mossad worked tirelessly to track down the masterminds behind the attack. It took time, but eventually, most of those accounts were settled.
Yair, let's dive deeper into the IDF's ground operations in Gaza. The offensive was multifaceted, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. The IDF divided Gaza into operational zones, focusing on dismantling Hamas's military capabilities. In the north, we saw intense urban warfare in places like Beit Hanun and Jabalia. Our forces uncovered and destroyed extensive tunnel network used by Hamas to move fighters and weapons undetected. One of the most significant achievements was Operation Southern Storm in Rafah, which is bordering Egypt and Hamas. This operation cut off Hamas's supply lines from Egypt. This operation effectively sealed the Philadelphia corridor, a critical smuggling route for Hamas. Without fresh supplies of weapons and ammunition, Hamas was unable to mount large-scale counteroffensives. The IDF also destroyed over 100 kilometers of Hamas's infamous tunnel networks, known as the Metro, which they used to smuggle weapons and fighters within the Gaza Strip. These tunnels, dug beneath civilian infrastructure, were systematically demolished using advanced technology, disrupting Hamas's operations and supply lines. Despite the ferocity of the conflict, Israel took unprecedented steps to minimize civilian casualties. Warnings were issued before airstrikes, and humanitarian corridors were established to allow Gazan civilians to evacuate combat zones. The IDF coordinated with international organizations to deliver essential supplies, even as Hamas attempted to exploit these efforts for propaganda. In fact, Hamas also continued to use human shields, storing weapons in schools, hospitals, and mosques. They launched rockets from densely populated areas, showing utter disregard for human life. Despite this, Hamas continued to garner sympathy in the media, and soon this began to translate into anti-Israel campaigns on university campuses in many Western countries. Anti-Israel demonstrations were held in many cities around the world, and this is continuing even today, on the anniversary of the Hamas massacres. International pressure has mounted as the war intensified. The United Nations and several nations called for ceasefires, but Israel remained resolute. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared, "We will not cease until Hamas's terror infrastructure is dismantled." It has been a long and difficult struggle, but slowly, the IDF managed to destroy Hamas's organized military battalions and reduce it to a poorly organized and equipped guerrilla army. They are still trying to reassert themselves in some areas, and they will probably never completely disappear. But they are unable to launch another October 7th style attack on Israel anytime in the foreseeable future. And even their ability to launch rocket attacks into Israel has been greatly reduced. Again, Mati.
Yes, Yair. Yair, the targeted elimination of Hamas leaders was pivotal to the success of this campaign. Could you shed some light on these operations?
Certainly. The senior leaders of Hamas have been found and eliminated one by one over the last year, leaving their supreme leader, Yair Sinwar, isolated. In fact, there have begun to be serious doubts expressed by Israeli intelligence officials as to whether Sinwar himself is still alive. But in any case, highlights of the campaign include the elimination of Mohammad Deif, Hamas's elusive military chief. He had survived multiple assassination attempts over the years, but using precise intelligence and advanced bunker buster munitions, the IDF struck his concealed command center last July. Following that, the Mossad orchestrated a daring overseas operation resulting in the assassination of Hamas political bureau chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, in the heart of Iran. This sent a clear message that no matter where they hide, those who orchestrate terror against Israel will be found. The elimination of Haniyeh created a power vacuum within Hamas, leading to a significant decrease in coordinated attacks against Israel. Now, before we continue, I want to remind our viewers, you, all of you, to take a moment and click the subscribe button and share our videos on YouTube. You can also follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms and visit our website at tbnisrael.com/news to stay up to date on everything, any developments that's coming out of Israel. I want to also remind you to join us later today for a special show here on TBN Israel as we mark this tragic anniversary. It will be a great way for all of us to pray together for the safety of Israel. Later today, here on TBN Israel. Mati, we've reached numerous messages from our viewers sharing their experiences over the past year. Many speak of the fear, but also the solidarity they've felt. How do you think that this war has affected the Israeli society at large?
I think that's an amazing question, Yair, and one that's been on my heart a lot. It's easy to say that the societal impact has been profound. While the initial attack sowed fear, it also galvanized a sense of unity. Communities opened their homes to those evacuated from the north and the south. There's been a resurgence of volunteerism and support for the IDF, as well as organized efforts at the community level. This has included the formation of civilian emergency response teams, volunteer firefighting brigades, and much, much more. However, we can't ignore the psychological toll this war has taken on the population. The constant threat has affected mental health across all age groups. The government has initiated programs to provide support, but it's an ongoing challenge. Those of us who have children of school age can also tell you that there's a real worry and concern about the disruption to educational frameworks, as well as the economy. Both were severely affected just a few years ago by all the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're just beginning to get back on track when this was started. I also have to mention that throughout all of this, I, like many other Israelis, have been deeply touched by the outpouring of support from Christians around the world who have provided practical help, prayers, and much, much more.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mati. Now, switching gears to the north, the threat from Hezbollah has escalated significantly. Just now, as I'm here, standing in the northern border behind me, over there, behind these mountains, that's Lebanon already. And only a few hours ago, Hezbollah launched dozens of missiles towards us, and my team just brought to me some shrapnel. I don't know if you guys can see it. Some shrapnel from missiles that were launched at us. That's why I'm wearing also this vest. It's supposed to protect us against these pieces of metal that are what's left of the rockets, the drones that Hezbollah launched at us. Mati, how did the conflict expand beyond Gaza?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And it's easy to say that this war has been more than just a local war. It's been a global and regional war from the get-go. Following Hamas's lead, Hezbollah began orchestrating attacks from Lebanon on October the 8th, the next day. Their strategy appeared to be opening a second front to stretch the IDF's resources, tying down IDF troops in the north so they wouldn't be available to fight in the Gaza Strip. They also wanted to give Israel another strategic problem by forcing residents of the northern communities to evacuate their homes. And in order to do this, they launched thousands of rockets into northern Israel, targeting civilian areas as well as IDF bases and critical infrastructure. For most of the past year, Israel fought a holding action in the north, using airstrikes to hit Hezbollah positions and assassinate key operatives when they were moving out in the open, but not taking Hezbollah's bait to open a large-scale operation. But as Hamas weakened, Hezbollah intensified its aggression from Lebanon. Over 5,000 rockets were fired into northern Israel, targeting civilian population and critical infrastructure in August alone. Israel preemptively struck Hezbollah rockets arsenal just minutes before a planned mass attack. Over 100 fighter jets conducted coordinated strikes. I wish it was 1,000, destroying thousands of rocket launchers and stockpiles, as well as eliminating many of the trained launcher crews. But that was just a warm-up to the main event.
That's right, Mati. In early September, the Israeli government dramatically added returning the residents of the northern communities to their homes, to the war's major strategic goals. Following that change, things began moving very quickly. The IDF launched massive airstrikes targeting Hezbollah's rocket launchers and supplies depots, as well as stepped up strikes on key personnel. But this campaign has been building momentum for a long time. Over the past year, the IDF has conducted over 3,000 airstrikes in Lebanon and Syria, crippling Hezbollah's ability to wage war. One of the most successful operations was the Beeper attack, where Israeli forces allegedly detonated the pagers of nearly 3,000 Hezbollah commanders, leaving the group scrambling. Just days later, a precision airstrike in Beirut eliminated one of their top leaders, Ibrahim Akil, along with several key operatives. Many of the most highly trained, experienced, and capable leaders of Hezbollah have already been eliminated, including their supreme leader, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah. Many Iranian IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guards Quds forces, generals, and lower-ranking officers have also been eliminated in these strikes, perishing amongst their Hezbollah henchmen. Israel also struck Hezbollah's weapon supply routes, including smuggling tunnels between Lebanon and Syria, significantly weakening their war capabilities. All this left the lower-level Hezbollah fighters blind and without orders or direction from above. They're fighting alone, isolated from their high command and from each other, dying in large numbers against more experienced IDF troops. Israel has completely reshaped the battlefields in southern Lebanon, targeting not just the open positions, but the heavily fortified underground networks that Hezbollah built over decades. Our forces have discovered tunnels that stretch for over 50 meters long, filled with weapons, ammunition, and supplies, most of which is demolished so Hezbollah cannot use it anymore. These operations mirror what we saw in Gaza, intense close-quarters combat in urban areas, but here in Lebanon, Hezbollah fighters are more entrenched after engaged in face-to-face combats with IDF troops. Israel's tactical advantage is clear, but Hezbollah is still dangerous, and with Iran backing them, this conflict is far from over. The IDF is now preparing for the next phase of this conflict, and every day, more rocket launchers are being destroyed, more tunnels are being found, and more Hezbollah operatives are being taken out. Israel is determined to secure the north and bring our residents back home. The much-feared onslaught of thousands of rockets every day, as well as Radwan commandos crossing the border to carry out the same kinds of attacks on civilian communities in the Galilee that Hamas carried out in the Gaza Strip into the Israeli communities surrounding it, has not materialized. We thank God for this, and we will press on to make sure the threat of this nightmare scenario is never again allowed to be built up on our northern border or any other border. Now, before we continue, I want to remind our viewers to take a moment and click on the subscribe button and share our videos on YouTube. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel to help us reach 1 million subscribers before the end of this year. And you can also follow us on your favorite social media platforms and visit us on our website at tbnisrael.com/news. And you will stay up to date with any developments coming out of Israel. I will also remind you once again to join us at 4 p.m. to join us at 12 p.m. Israel time for a live broadcast on the 7th of October, featuring Franklin Graham, the CEO of Samaritan's Purse, which we are proud to be working together with to bring aid and comfort to Israelis in distress. They have already donated several armored ambulances, so our friends at Magen David Adom can really take care of victims in this war, victims of terrorism, while minimizing the risk to their own lives, and they are working to bring even more assistance to Israelis in need. So make sure not to miss this important live interview tonight at 12 Israel time, midnight. Mati, let's shift our focus a little bit and analyze the IDF's strategic approach. How effective has the combination of air power and intelligence is in these countering these threats of Hezbollah terrorists?
I can't think it can be overstated. I'd say the synergy between intelligence gathering and precision airstrikes has been a game changer. Real-time intelligence allowed the IDF to hit high-value targets with minimal collateral damage, with surveillance drones in the air around the clock, keeping the entire battlefield under constant observation. The moment a rocket is fired, the IDF can already direct counter fire at the launch site, so the first rocket fired from that position is also the last one. Additionally, Israel's missile defense systems, the Iron Dome, David Sling, and the Arrow system have been crucial in intercepting incoming threats, saving countless lives. This is especially important since Iran's proxies have been firing weapons from all directions, including heavy ballistic missiles and drones fired by the Houthis in Yemen, some of which have penetrated Israel's air defenses and caused casualties.
Mati, Iran's direct missile attack on Israel in April and another, even larger attack just last Tuesday were characterized as a significant escalation. What are the regional implications of these attacks?
I think it's really interesting. Iran's direct involvement signifies its desperation to maintain influence through its proxies, who have all taken a severe beating from the IDF in the last month. So much so that Iran must be wondering how much longer they can avoid being defeated. Once that occurs, of course, Iran will be left facing Israel alone. Although there's no question of the IDF ground forces invading and conquering Iran, Israel can substantially weaken the regime, which would leave it vulnerable to being attacked by its most dangerous enemy, the Iranian people, of course. A large majority of Iran's approximately 90 million people are deeply dissatisfied with the regime, and many of them would like to see it replaced. This regime knows that, and they are very afraid of their own population. All of that having been said, the regional implications of Iran's attacks on Israel are substantial. It risks drawing other countries into the conflict and destabilizing the Middle East even further. Although the Saudis and other Gulf Cooperation Council countries are trying hard to maintain neutrality in this battle between Israel and Iran, that will be very difficult to maintain going forward. This is especially true if Iran follows through on threats to attack their oil infrastructure in retaliation for Israel's attack on Iran's oil infrastructure. Israel's response to Iran's aggression has so far been measured yet firm, continuing to degrade Hezbollah and targeting Iranian assets in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq to prevent further escalation. Diplomatic efforts are also underway to rally international support against Iran.
Well, Mati, thank you so much for this explanation about the situation. I think that now we have some time to answer questions from our viewers on YouTube. I don't know if you have received some questions directly.
I'm tracking it right here as we speak, Yair.
Okay.
And it always makes me happy to see how many people we're able to engage with in real time, and to see the messages of support by people. It's just, it's incredible. So much public support, so much care to what to what's been happening here. Do you want to lead with a comment, Yair, or should I lead?
If you have a comment, it will be good, because I don't see it yet.
So what several people have asked us, and I think we should both answer this question, when we reflect on this last year, what is it that stands out the most from everything that happened? I'll answer that first. I'll say what surprised me the most, and I think everyone in Israel, is the resilience of the people of Israel. We're a strong people, and we always knew that. But I was deeply touched, deeply moved, and as were I think everyone else who was called into uniform earlier on in October of last year, by how resilient, how strong, how supportive the people of this country are. What was it that surprised you, Yair?
Well, I think that it's kind of surprised me in a negative way, especially in the beginning of this war. That in the beginning the world was with us, everybody was devastated by these attacks, and then very quick, and it was even quicker than I would imagine, anti-Semitism peaked, and suddenly Israel are the bad guys. Even those Hamas terrorists have our terrorists with them in tunnels, and the IDF is trying to defend our borders, and like the world really shifted, and everything became against Israel very fast. And we see it also now, as basically the IDF is maneuvering in Lebanon, in South Lebanon, doing the job that the United Nations should do, according to Resolution 1701, that states that there shouldn't be any Hezbollah terrorist or military presence on this few kilometers between Israel and Lebanon, basically until the Litani River, giving a buffer zone between the residents of Israel and the Hezbollah terrorists. And this resolution was not enforced by the international community. And that's why now you have boots on the ground. You have IDF forces there that are operating. And that's the situation at the moment. And the world, of course, is saying Israel should stop. It should stop it. Should stop the offensive and should stop the fighting. So this is what kind of shocked me.
I find that to be incredibly amusing. People are always so quick to offer or present the case that if international support was given or an international treaty was signed, then it solves all the problems. And the minute a problem starts, everyone who's supposed to be upholding this agreement is suddenly out of the picture. No. We promised we'd do it. We never said we'd stick around, and that's exactly the case right now. Everyone says yes, Israel has a right to respond, but a day later they say we call for restraint on both sides when our population is being bombed. I think that's incredibly important. And something else that people have been asking us. I'm going through the comments here as we talk. People are asking, what is it important for people to know that they don't know? And I'd say, to your point, it's the media is the key, is understanding that wars nowadays are not just fought on the battlefield. They're fought and thought, I guess, pun intended, over the hearts and minds of people around the world. And the media battle is real, and the implications of it are truly real. They're more significant and real than almost sometimes the battle that's happening itself. I want to thank our viewers, since we have a couple minutes before we're done, and say that it's been an incredible year, both for me and I think for you too, Yair, to see the support and the love and the care that we've experienced from people around the world of Israel, for us personally, for our entire team, of people passionate to see the truth come out of Jerusalem, out of Zion, as the Bible prophesies. It's been incredibly, incredibly encouraging to see that happen. And I've been touched by that. I don't know how you feel, but it's been touching and deeply moving for me to know how much we've been supported and loved in this last year.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, and I think that another thing that I learned in this war is that really prayers work. Let me just give you an example from now. Okay, guys, we're coming to you live from the northern border and from Jerusalem, and of course, live is very tricky and technical, and we're here every 10 minutes. There are rockets that being launched from Lebanon. We need to run into the bomb shelter. Thank God. Since this live started, we were able to go uninterrupted in terms of rockets attacks and other things. And we had no internet connection, no reception. We couldn't go live. And one of my colleague here, Alon, came to me and he said, Yair, let's pray. Let's pray for a second. And everybody's like running, trying to fix it. And we just stopped, prayed. Boom, the second we said amen after the prayer, internet got back, reception is working, and we were able to come live. So this is, I think, I love these small reminders of God that really is answering.
Yeah. Let's go back to the present. Since you're up north, maybe we talk about that for a second.
Yeah,
I find it to be fascinating. We fought a war in Gaza. We've now invaded southern Lebanon. Only a small portion of it, but we've invaded southern Lebanon. What have you seen today that projects into the future? What have you seen today on the ground? I know you've seen some paratrooper units and other units operating in that area. What have you seen that indicates what's happening in the next weeks and possibly months in northern Israel?
Well, Mati, what I've seen, first of all, is a lot of forces, a lot of ground forces. Majority of them, of course, include reserve units. So people above the age of 40 sometimes wearing uniform, protecting the country, and doing that, basically preparing either to enter Lebanon or defending communities here in the north. And I've seen the Iron Dome anti-rocket defense system working firsthand. We had, I would say, 15 rockets above our head that exploded, and the system works.
It's an amazing
of course,
system,
we were on the ground all dirty because you need to be prepared and be ready. And on top of that, Mati, we are now in a community. As I said, behind me, that's the border with Lebanon. Just above that mountain is already Lebanon. And in this community, you have Israelis that did not evacuate. Just a few, I would say an hour ago, a father with 3 children drove by me in his pickup truck, and beautiful girls in the back of the truck, and just continued to be here. So it's amazing to see that life goes on. And despite this war, there is optimism, nice people. We were offered food. They said, come to our house if you can't get a delivery here, and we'll feed you. So, the people of Israel is here, striving and succeeding.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I want to invite everyone who's joined us at this point in the broadcast. There are now thousands and thousands of people around the world. Want to say thank you for the support. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the donations over an entire year of this war. It's been a year plus a day, 366 days since that terrible morning of October 7th. And we're here. I'm in Jerusalem, in the heart of the city. Yair is up north with our team close to the Lebanon border, here to summarize all the incredible events that have taken part in this last year. We've been covering from what happened in the Gaza Strip to the events in northern Israel. And we want to thank you, everyone who's watched, everyone who's prayed, everyone who's stood with us, everyone who's shared, liked, and subscribed. And if you haven't done that, take just 1 second to do it right now, because it goes a whole long way. And I want to especially thank everyone who's made donations to support us today. Yeah, let's go back. We have just a few more minutes left in the script.
Definitely,
let's go back. We talked about what's been happening in present day in Lebanon. You gave a great survey. Let's give an update of what's happening just today on the border in northern Israel, because people want to know. We're seeing this in the comments. They want to know what's happening in the northern border. Again, we have thousands of soldiers, or who knows how many at this point, inside southern Lebanon, troops at the border. What is happening right now inside Lebanon and in northern Israel?
Yes, Mati. So bringing it back to the present, As we speak, the IDF is preparing for potential large-scale ground operations against Hezbollah positions. Earlier today, I witnessed units from the paratrooper brigades moving towards the border, and we know that several IDF soldiers have already been killed in action inside Lebanon. We're also receiving reports that in the last 24 hours, the IDF has intercepted multiple rockets and drones launched from Lebanon, showcasing the ongoing threats that we face.
Yes, amidst the intense battles already being fought inside Lebanon and the ongoing airstrikes, as well as all the incoming and drone attacks that you've experienced firsthand today, the IDF remains on high alert, which is amazing after an entire year of war. And the residents of the north have been advised to stay near shelters. And as we look ahead, we can expect the situation to remain highly unstable, as well as dynamic, of course. Diplomatically, Israel is working to strengthen alliances. The Abraham Accords have opened doors for cooperation with Gulf states, which share concerns over Iran's regional ambitions. All that said, vigilance is key. The threat of the lone wolf attacks and global anti-Semitism has risen. The IDF and security agencies are on high alert to prevent any infiltration or internal threats. And indeed, we've seen several such attacks in Israel. So population and defense forces in this country remain at an incredibly high level of alert. Back to you, Yair.
Yes, and I personally am also on high alert as I'm standing here close to this hostile border. Like many other Israelis, I took the step of acquiring a license to carry a handgun in the wake of these terrorist attacks against civilians, and it's impossible to ignore the weight of it. It's both a psychological weight that I can feel on my belt that never lets me forget that the weapon is there, and there is also the weight of responsibility. It reminds me that I have to myself, to my family, and to anyone else around me who might need to protect them against any case of an attack. We'll have to do our part, and that includes you, our viewers, back at home. And on that note, I want to take a moment and thank all of you, our viewers, especially those who have been with us ever since the early days of Boots on the Ground, when we started these broadcasts on October 7th. Back then, it was just me recording a short recap of the day's events on my iPhone every evening as I was with my reserve units here on the northern border and later in the Gaza Strip. We've come a long way since then. We have an amazing team, and a lot more people have joined us for the daily updates. This reminds me also, once again, if you have not yet done so, please, if you want to receive updates from Israel of what is happening, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button and share our videos on YouTube. You can also follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms and visit our website at tbnisrael.com/news. You can stay updated on all the latest developments from Israel and everything that is happening in this region. Mati, as we reflect on this past year, what stands out to you the most?
Well, we talked previously about the resilience of the Israeli people, and I'll take this a different direction. The people are resilient because they know why they're here. And I think that's the most important part. I always like to say that there are two questions that every person answers every morning when he wakes up. Who am I and why am I here? And this war has given us a clear answer. We are the Israeli Jewish people in the land of Israel, promised to us by God. And this war has awoken and strengthened that connection to this very land, to the sole purpose that we're here. And that goal, that need to protect what was given to us, that need to fight for the promise, is something that I believe kept us going. So I'd say if I had to put it in a sentence, it would be the faith of the people and the promise of God are what really spoke to me this last year.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Mati. And to our viewers, the fight is not just on the front lines, but also in maintaining our moral and our way of life. And you, all of you that are watching, you are part of that battle. With your prayers and by helping us spread the truth, you can do that. And you can help us by telling a friend who cares about Israel what really is happening. And you can do that by taking a moment also to share this video to anyone who wants to know what is happening in Israel. Our goal and our mission here at TBN Israel is to share the truth from the ground. That's why we're driving a few hours every week to the northern border, to the border with the Gaza Strip, so that we can really share what is happening from being here, not filtered, and also coming to you live like this broadcast from Jerusalem with Mati Shoshani, and from the northern border of Israel and Lebanon with me, Yair Pinto. And I think that as we conclude tonight's special broadcast, we remember those that we've lost and honor those who continue to defend our nation. I urge everybody who's watching to stay informed and stay united. The battle we face is not just on the borders, but also in the realm of public opinion and global perception. We encourage you to stay informed by visiting tbnisrael.com/news for the latest updates. Your support is vital. If you're able, please consider donating so that we can create more videos like this one. So you can do that by going to tbnisrael.com/give or click the donate button on YouTube. So you can help us continue bringing you accurate reporting from the front lines. Guys, I'm Yair Pinto, and with me, Mati Shoshani. And as we close this special report, I want to remind all of you to pray. Pray for our soldiers who are on the front lines. Pray for the families who have lost loved ones. For our hostages to come home safely and fast. And most of all, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That place that you see behind Mati right there. Thank you, Mati, for being with me.
Thank you, Yael. And I want to join you in that prayer, Yael, and say there's one more thing that I need people around the world to remember, which is the hostages. There are more than 100 families, 101 today, families in Israel who are still waiting to hear from their loved ones, who are in, from what we know, unimaginable conditions, in a negative way, of course, in Hamas captivity. 101 out of over 250 that were initially taken captive, held as hostage by Hamas terrorists. Just last night, I was at a ceremony where the father of one of those hostages spoke, and you could see in every eye of every person in that room a tear in the corner of their eye, because the pain is unimaginable. The suffering is something that is hard to understand. And that's something I've been carrying in my heart for a while, is the prayer for the return of the hostages back to their homes, back to their families. Our country needs that, and we need people around the world to pray for that, to continue pressuring and demanding that. When people ask the question of, well, why doesn't Israel stop fighting Hamas? Why doesn't Israel stop? Well, give us the hostages back. You've kidnapped our sons and daughters and mothers and fathers and grandmothers. Give us our hostages back for this country. I think that's something that needs prayer. And I want to say something else to people who are watching at home. If you've stuck around so far, you probably believe in the power of prayer. And this year, more than ever in my life, and I think in everyone in their life in Israel, we understand and believe in the power of prayer. We understand and believe the power of people around the world standing with us in prayer. And we want to encourage you to continue doing that.
Yes.
Yael, we have a couple more minutes left for this broadcast. What is it on your mind? If you had, one more minute to say something you want people at home to take in their hearts and their minds at the end of this broadcast, what would that be?
Well, I think that Israel, basically, for all of you, doesn't matter, where you're from, Israel is a beacon of hope. Okay, especially if you believe in God. If you believe in God and you have hard times at home with your spouse, at your job, with your health, whatever it is, the situation, okay, take a look at Israel. Okay, since its inception, and also from biblical times, Israel is always under attack, always from multiple fronts. And God is always faithful to his promise to Israel. And if God is faithful to his promise to Israel, the people of Israel, which sadly are not all of us believe in God, but if he's faithful to his promises to the people of Israel, he is faithful to his promises to you. So if you need encouragement, really look at God and look at Israel. And he's faithful to Israel. He'll be faithful to each and every one of you. So that's what I hope all of you can take from today's live. and from looking at Israel at this situation. Any last remarks, Mati?
I think we have time for one last question, and I think this is one worth answering. Sarah from London asks, she says, where are we? Sarah, okay, she says, how can we support Israel from abroad during these times? And I want to just recap what we've said a dozen times now in this broadcast, which is, Sarah, subscribe, like, and share the content. Make a donation to what TBN does in Israel. And this broadcast and others, we've also showcased the work of Samaritan's Purse and American Friends of Mada. And there are many more organizations who've done incredible work to stand with the people of Israel. And I want to tell you this because you might be on the other side saying, well, what does $5 make a difference of? You know, what does $10 mean? And I'll tell you that we feel the difference. We feel the significance of every donation that comes to the country. That extra donation means engine hours on a helicopter. It means a medic's backpack. It means 100 different things that make a difference to the people in this country. As we're wrapping up, Yair, maybe you want to lead us in one last thought or prayer to close off this broadcast. And before that, I'll say is that we want to remind everyone one last time that tonight on this channel, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a special broadcast featuring Yair and I with Samuel Smadja, Franklin Graham, and others, recapping all the incredible events that have taken place, including the personal stories over this past year. Again, it's on the YouTube channel. It's already featured there, and you can make sure to get a reminder to see it. But it's 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the TBN Israel channel. Yair, do you want to close us off in prayer and send us off to hopefully better days?
Definitely. So, Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. I'm doing it both the Hebrew and English. Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. Thank you for protecting Israel in this war. Thank you for giving me personally peace in my heart as I was fighting in the Gaza Strip and in the northern border. Thank you for protecting Mati and countless others of soldiers all across Israel. Thank you for using us and using Israel as a way to share your love with the rest of the world. And I really want to encourage people that watch us to pray, because we believe in the power of prayer. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, but make it personal. Make it personal. Pray for a hostage. We believe that prayer has a power. And we want to pray now for all the hostages to be returned to their loved ones, to their families, healthy. We want to pray that all the soldiers will be safe. All those that are fighting now in Gaza or in Lebanon will return home safely. We want to pray for wisdom to our leaders to make the right decisions, for wisdom to the leaders of the international community and countries that will have wise decisions regarding this situation, because it really affects all of us. And we want to pray that God's will be done here in Israel and in the world. In the name.
Amen. Thank you, Yair. And that's it for now. If you've stuck with us so far, thank you. Be blessed. Once again, we have another program tonight. This is the end of our live for October 7th, 1 year for the war.